Is your storytelling a nightmare or a dream? Are you stuck in the negative storytelling of your life? If so, it's time to inspire self love. I can tell you from my own personal experience that I used to tell the worst story of the nightmare that I was living. And you know what? The stories start as thoughts, and then they become our actions or our words, and then our actions, and our actions turn into our behaviors, which in turn turn into our reality, the way that we're constantly living our lives. So when I was telling my nightmare story, which I don't even share very often anymore because I am no longer the victim of my past, and now I'm the victor of my future, that I'm creating the compelling future that I want to live for instead of the nightmare of the hell that I was living. So I personally, don't talk about this too often, but I went through this really ugly, nasty divorce last year. I'm talking like emotionally abusive, financially abusive relationship where it was kind of destined to fail from the beginning. I told myself a story saying that this is the guy that I wanted, that this is what I needed in my life. I was so caught up in the fantasy of, that dream life, that like fantasy of getting married, starting a family, and I kind of let go of my values. I didn't care as much as I should have when I chose the partner because there were major red flags at the beginning that I ignored. So my nightmare became my reality when, you know, not only was I being emotionally abused, the verbal abuse started coming up because I kept asking for positive change, positive growth. Unfortunately, my uh, ex-husband was an alcoholic and didn't want to face that reality of change, didn't want to put in the work to make efforts. I offered all sorts of thoughts. I tried counseling by myself. I offered group counseling. I tried workbooks. I wanted to read books. And you can only do so much on your end, right? Like, you can't force someone to do anything they want that they don't want to do. But I told myself differently. I tried to control something that I wasn't able to control. And that was part of my negative storytelling. And not only did the day come when I finally got tired of the lies and the deceit and the bad negative story that I finally came to my senses enough, I was able to get a break because there was a zero tolerance I had for violence. And there was violence that occurred in my home one day. And now we went from negative storytelling to this is my major reality. Not only am I depressed, anxious, feelings of constant anxiousness and anger, resentment, frustration. The world was so gloomy and dark that I just kept coming up with excuses to stay. Finally, I ran out of excuses. The violence happened in my home. I was backed up into a wall. There was fist clenched. I thought maybe I would get hit that night. Luckily, I've always been a very vocal person, and I told him straight up, if you hit me, I will call the cops. And he realized that that was true and stepped away. And then my daughter woke up because luckily she was sleeping when all this happened. But, needless to say, he was angry, was yelling at me, verbally abusive at me, was punching holes in the wall, glass shattered, artwork shattered, and refused to clean it up. And we had a crawling toddler at the time. So that was just unacceptable to me. I finally that step catapulted me into a separation. And I was feeling very unsafe. I had been feeling unsafe. I had asked. And so finally, I took the steps to leave and made him leave the home. And I still told myself the story that I could convince him to be different. I kept convincing myself that there was no reason that I should leave, that I should stay in this nightmare that I couldn't stand anymore. So I tried longer, until finally I took time. I took time to inspire self love, as hard as it was to be separated, and I still continued to work on it for 6 months. It finally hit me that it was me making the choices to stay in that negative, toxic cycle. So finally, I inspired self love. I ended it, even though it was so hard to end. And not only did I end it, but then it got escalated where I then got physically assaulted, sexually assaulted, like it wasn't the first time. During the marriage, there had been moments where, there were times where he tried to force himself on me, and I would not let it happen. That was also something I never really handled well, that I didn't want to. I was thankful that I had enough courage to stand up for myself and to not allow myself to be victimized in those ways. So I was very just trying to keep it problematic, trying to be a people pleaser as I had always been, and tried really hard to make it work for our daughter, trying to be cordial, trying to be nice. And well, the next thing I know, he was forcing himself on me again in front of our daughter on her birthday. What started as like a simple hug, turned into like a, I want to kiss you. And I verbalized, I don't consent to this. I don't want to be kissed. It went from a hug to forceful kissing and trying to, trying to salvage this marriage that was like way long gone. And I didn't realize at the time that that was going to trigger some old trauma. Not only did I experience this type of assault when I was younger, but it was very difficult because I didn't realize the extent of the trauma that was going to come back up about it, and just the nightmare that my reality had become. Retrospectively looking back, it makes so much sense on why my reality felt like a nightmare, and it's because it truly was one. The story I had been telling myself to stay kept me defeated. It kept me victimized. It kept me in a place that I didn't want to be. And finally, like I said, I took the time, all this assault and all this issues and the verbal abuse, I hit, like, enough was enough. I ended up having to share my story with the law, with the court. I was granted a protective order because of all of these things. A lot of times we don't exercise our rights as we should, but it's wrong. It's wrong to not exercise our rights, especially when we have been crossed by people that shouldn't be crossing us. The story became such a nightmare, but now this story, as painful as those moments were, as difficult as those moments were, that story has led to my triumph and has led to my victim into my victor moments. I got granted this protective order. Finally, he got it through that this was just over, stopped verbally abusing me because this protective order didn't limited his conversation with me. It was a no contact order. He couldn't talk to me about anything that wasn't related to our daughter, which is like basic common sense on sometimes when you're trying to leave a relationship, right? And so having to go through all the trauma that I went through in the relationship and really solidify that story helped me realize how shitty things really were. And not only did that cause a lot of healing and a lot of trauma, this, like, just reliving the trauma, it made so much more sense on why I was living through hell, because I was. And so now this story, even though it seems like a lot that I've gone through, I needed to go through those experiences. I'm so thankful that I had to take those steps because it's led me to where I am now. Now my life is all about inspiring self-love. My story that I'm telling isn't because I want anyone to pity me and to think, "Oh, poor you. Oh, life is so hard." Because you know what? Other people have it worse. I'm thankful I got out before anything worse could happen, before I actually got my fist to the face or worse. There's so many women out there that don't get to escape. And I took the steps I needed to escape. I no longer was going to be a victim of my life, and now I'm changing it. Now I've inspired self-love. I work on myself, my personal development every day, because every day is a great day to grow. I journal, I reflect, I meditate. I am closer to God than I've ever been in my life, because when you are walking through the valley of shadows and death, aka hell, which is here on earth that we take ourselves to, it is so hard. And why? Because we get trapped by our negative, limiting beliefs that we are not worthy, that we are not valuable, that we are not loved. And to be honest, that was the story I had to change to begin with. I really didn't feel lovable. I didn't feel like I was worthy of it. I felt like I deserved the choice of life that I had picked. I mean, I did pick this life. I chose it very aware, very willingly. And that's okay, because I didn't know any better. It's 100% okay. That story is part of who I am now. And so now that I take time to inspire self love, my beginning mantras to get out of this were I am loved, I am worthy of love, I deserve love, am full of love because I receive love from my creator, and I deserve a healthy relationship. I deserve healthy love. And because of all those things of daily affirmations, sometimes multiple times a day, whenever I felt myself just ready to lose it all over again, feeling alone and weak, I would repeat that to myself because I am loved. I do deserve love. I am valuable. I do matter. Just like how you do. You matter too. And no matter how ugly life can feel right now, your story doesn't have to be the victim story. You can find ways to reframe that story so that you are the victor in it. Be your own hero. A lot of us think that our lives are just this life, like poor me, this is where I'm at. But that is not the truth. The truth is that sometimes when we're stuck in those negative cycles, we have to send a signal for help, an SOS, and reach out and get the help. If you're miserable, if your life sucks, if your life seems like, is this all there is left to live, then I urge you to reach out. Please contact me. I will leave my link, my contact information is below. If you're ready to inspire self-love, I believe in you. You are worthy and you deserve it. None of us deserve to live in hell. And that's all dependent on the story that we're telling us ourselves. If you're ready to rewrite your story and you need someone to help there, be with you, to help, to cheer you on, to guide you into how to reframe your story, I'm here for you. It's a lot of hard work to inspire self-love when you have everything but self-hate, when you don't believe in who you are, when you feel like you can't even trust your own brain. I've been there. I know. It's so hard. And those stories, they have to be broken. The lies and the deceit that we tell ourselves, that the world tells us. It's not fair to go on believing that we don't matter, because that's the biggest lie. It keeps us stuck. It keeps us from living out our destiny. It makes us believe that our future is nothing to look forward to, and that is so not true. The future should be bright. If you don't have a bright future ahead of you, then you have work to do. And I'm going to call you out, women warrior, because I mostly speak to the women warriors. Men, if that's you too, then, by all means, you got to work through your stuff too. But as a woman, fighting for women empowerment, for us to fight, we can conquer these battles inside of us, because when we inspire self-love, not only do we change our lives, but the people around us, the lives around us, they change. When I was stuck in my negative storytelling, I was also stuck by bad company. I prefer to be around bad company than to be alone. And the truth is, that is the way that the darkness wins, by making you believe you are unworthy, that you do not matter, and that no one around you cares. And that keeps us from taking action to fulfill our purpose. We are all here for a reason. Every day you wake up is a reason for you to live and to figure out your purpose here on earth. And my purpose is here. My purpose is here to help you break your negative cycles, to inspire self-love, so you can live the most joyful, authentic, and passionate life that you can, so you can make your difference in the world. Because we are created to live. We are created to live abundantly. We are created to live alive, connected, passionate, energetic, purposeful, fulfilled lives. And if you aren't experiencing that, then I hate to break it to you, but you are stuck in a negative cycle. And you know what? You shouldn't settle for the life that you feel like you are a victim to. Because you know why? We were all created for more than that. We were all created to be better than that. And if you are sick and tired of being sick and tired, then it's time, woman warrior, to change that story. Time to change that story and start telling the story of your hero's journey. And where is it going to lead you? Please drop it in the comments if you have a story to tell, or better yet, contact me so we can start working on your storytelling. And time to inspire self-love. Stay strong. You can do this, and you deserve it.